The political situation in Cambodia in the mid-1990s, after the election and peace process that we'd worked so hard to put in place, all broke down, fighting returned, and struggle between these various factions went on, left heartbreaking situation, but efforts going on to find ways to create international events with great consequences that could somehow draw countries, draw the political forces of countries more into that struggle between Cambodians. How can we get the Americans on our side so they'll want to take down Hun Sen? How can we assure the Americans that Hun Sen's not doing things for which he deserves to be considered your enemy? This is all taking place, and people are coming up with the most amazing motives. I understood. I lived there. I understood that you would be told a story about someone in advance, and they'd say, you know that the government, Hun Sen, is planning to kill person A. And they tell you that so that you'd report that. And then an attempt would be made on person A's life. And they would come back and tell you, see, we told you that was going to happen. And you see that it did happen. We were right. We knew what was going to happen. Except that it wasn't necessarily Hun Sen's forces that were doing it, that killed the person or tried to kill him. It could be somebody within their own movement who had a grievance against this person A and considered them expendable and would go out and kill them, assassinate them, just to make it look like their prediction had come true. So we were forever being played with these kinds of games, being set up to be dragged into the middle of the Cambodian dispute, the Cambodian struggle. Who's going to be the king of the hill? Who's going to be up on top of the hill? In the middle of all this in 1998, there was going to be an effort to hold a new election. I was very involved, had the initiative with the king that got the king to give assurances about the safety of Prince Ronerit so he could come back. We had the assurances for Sam Rainsy so he could be back. And the elections were going to then produce a new body that would form a new parliament, and out of which the prime minister or prime ministers would be chosen. So the election took place, and flawed or not, they were now going to have an event, and King Sihanouk, months in advance, says, oh, I'm going to host a special dinner for everybody in Siem Reap, and we should start by being at the heart of the historic Cambodian Empire, at the ruins of Angkor Wat, where the parliament should all come there, the newly elected People's Parliament, and we should establish the government and declare who will be prime minister. And so the king has set up this event months in advance. And stepping back from it with my intelligence analyst hat on, I saw that the implications for Hun Sen and for the situation were profound, because it would be the one time that the Cambodian parties would know where the leaders of their movements were going to be, including Hun Sen. Because there was a hotel that Hun Sen always used when he came to Siem Reap, to Angkor Wat. And when he stayed there in that hotel, he'd fly in a helicopter. They had a landing pad right near there. And he would travel to other things in a motorcade down this road that came from the same direction as the airport. So, 1998, election takes place. Now the event is about to occur. As American ambassador, I show up there. I bring several officers with me. They are going off and talking to and gathering information from the various political candidates who have come together, the parties, see what they're saying about the event. And Hun Sen is going to be driving in to go to the parliamentary event, followed by the King's Luncheon. And he's going to come down this road, this known road. Any other event, any other day, any other events that might be scheduled in Cambodia, Hun Sen can vary the time he goes, he can vary the route. He can't be held to be predictable as he can in this one instance. And as Hun Sen drives into town in his motorcade, with other members, including members of the Cambodian People's Party, who had not been part of his entourage. Some of them, like the Minister of Interior, Sarkang, are riding with him, riding in the motorcade. And they come on this narrow road, and once they get to the outskirts of Phnom Penh, and there's like marketplaces and along the way, as we're all at the National Assembly building waiting for the man who got the most votes, Hun Sen, to show up, there's reports of explosions, and I get word from the Thai ambassador who's near me, there's been a rocket fired at Hun Sen's vehicle. And in effect, what had happened was that as Hun Sen's vehicle, his SUV with him riding in the back, got into town or near some of these bushes and things along the road, somebody sitting nearby pushed a button and fired a rocket. And the timing was just off this much so that the rocket goes across the hood of his car without hitting his vehicle or killing him, missing by just inches. It sails across the road, hits a building, blows it up. No one saw the rocket. It went so fast. And there were explosions going on around Cambodia. It wasn't that unusual. People would set off landmines they had discovered. This was a reasonably frequent occurrence. And so at first, Hun Sen's bodyguards and other officials didn't connect it with an attempt to assassinate him. But by the time the opening session of the National Parliament was over, they had figured out exactly what had happened. And the investigation started. And it's during this period when now there are, frantic phone calls and efforts, find out what happened, who might have done it. My cell phone rings, and I take it out, and it's a Cambodian American who's a member of one of these dissident or activist groups, democracy groups, speaking to me and saying, "Oh, Ambassador, did you see the report? You see the report of the rocket just missing Hun Sen's car?" Now, of course, I understood that Hun Sen's party, the Cambodian People's Party, was monitoring every conversation, including mine. The phone call from an individual who almost never, ever called me was intended to make the United States look complicit in the attempt to assassinate the Prime Minister. I had predicted in our closed embassy channels that there would be an effort to do exactly what happened. And I wanted to take steps to warn the Prime Minister about this threat. And in Washington, I was told, no, you can't do that. You can't be sure. It'll look like other countries like Thailand or Singapore are involved in this. And so, while we didn't make any formal démarche, I made sure that I spoke to people within Hun Sen's organization to alert them to the possibility that there could be significant danger to him as he rode in his vehicle through the streets of Phnom Penh. The man who called me, this Cambodian American dual citizen, that was what was so appalling to me, would be part of an effort to make America, our country, his country, look like we had been involved, we had been plotting to assassinate a leader of the country.